was the limitation placed at a pre-sitting. So, Mr. Speaker, we need to go strictly by it so that we can go and continue our
So, Honorable Ladi, I think I pre-cautioned you and other members who will be speaking that 5 minutes will be allotted to each member. So, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's unfortunate. I thought it was a point of order on what I was saying. I didn't know it was the issue of time. But I would let it go with him. I can't talk much, or he will begin calling my name locally. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, Honorable Abdullah Jinapo, John, congratulations. I wish you all the best, and I hope that we continue to have the lights on. Mr. Speaker, my own brother, Honorable Dominic, has been one of the persons that I have always liked to talk to, and I go personally to discuss issues with him because of his demeanor. He is so diplomatic. He is such that he will go on to let you understand why he goes a particular tangent.
Honorable, and I please wind up for me.
I wish him all the best. He knows what I am saying, and I know once he's been a deputy minister before, he's going to work better as a minister. My big brother, congratulations, and I wish you all the best, and take care of yourself. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, let's remind ourselves the time, 5 minutes, please. It's not that we are cutting anybody short, but apart from this, we have other business that we will confront ourselves with. So please, let's respect the time. At times, it's not palatable to say, Honorable Member, your time is up, so please wind up or stop. But if I have to do that, I will do that, please. Yes. Honorable Member for Asante Achem Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to first congratulate the nominees. Honorable Dominic Aine is my classmate for 5 years at the Faculty of Law and the Law School. So I know him very well to be a man of his own word and of good integrity. Mr. Speaker, he's a very hard-working gentleman and a very brilliant young man. He's worked very hard to be where he is. When we came into politics, I thought he was not interested, but later he joined us, and he has been a good politician, having served at the ministry as a deputy minister before Ghanaians decided that he should go and rest. Mr. Speaker, I have worked with Honorable Jinapo, whom we call JJ, on Finance Committee, and I've always admired him as a young man for his background and the knowledge that he has in steering the affairs of the committee. Though sometimes mischievous, but we play with those things. And then finally, I would want to also congratulate specially Honorable Kesolato Forcing. He's a fine gentleman. He has taught us a lot of things at the Finance Committee, and he has always lived by his word. Mr. Speaker, I have no doubt that these 3 gentlemen that the President had selected, I have so much confidence in them. I can only say and advise that they should not disappoint us. They should live up to the confidence that we have in them in order that Ghanaians would benefit from the nominations that the President had made. With this, Mr. Speaker, I would want to again wish them all the best if they are given the nod in their new career. Thank you.
With the time, very snappy, and he was able to touch all the three. Indeed, was a teacher. So it is now the turn for a member.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the motion, item 10.3 on the other paper. Mr. Speaker, in doing so, I would like to first of all congratulate the three gentlemen, Honorable Dr. Casey Latuforsen, who is a Minister Designate for the Ministry of Finance, Honorable John Jinapo, who is going to the Ministry of Energy, and Dr. Honorable Dominic Ayene, who is the Minister Designate for the Attorney General and the Ministry of Justice. Mr. Speaker, I think as a veteran, Honorable Latuforsen distinguished himself very well. He said all that he needed to say as a minister who is yet about to go to the ministry. And he did promise to deliver the promises that His Excellency the President had made in terms of tax that we hope to repeal. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Latuforsen was at the Ministry of Finance as a deputy minister with myself over 8 years ago. He's been a ranking member of the Finance Committee for, I think, 6 or 7 years. So he's basically been following the Finance Ministry for at least over a decade. I have no doubt in my mind his ability to perform his duties as the minister in the times that we are in. And I wish him all the best, and I know that he will do well. We are all here to support him to make sure that he succeeds in this difficult economic climate that this country is in at the moment. Mr. Speaker, I move on to Honorable John Jinapo, a fine gentleman who is passionate about matters that involve energy. And I think he's followed energy matters for a very long time. I have no doubt in my mind that he is the right person to go to the ministry in these difficult times. With Dr. Dominic Ayene, my good friend, congratulations. The interesting thing is that all three gentlemen here have previously been deputy ministers of the ministries that they are going. So it shows clearly the succession plan that the NDC has in terms of promotion of people to positions. So the places they are going are not new to them. And I know that they will do well. We pray and hope that we all support them to succeed. With these few words, Mr. Speaker, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It is now the turn of Honorable Boama.
Mr. Speaker, I had the opportunity to sit at the veteran, so I'm yielding to Honorable Pamna Ponkroma, if he's not on the list.
Kojo is on
so,
in the list.
Honorable Member for Takoradi, please.
Very well. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the motion moved on the nominations of the President.
Mr. Speaker, I believe that the first person we are interested in is Honorable Atuforson, who is also a schoolmate, even though he was my junior. He's been a very good friend whilst we both came to Parliament, and I believe that the nomination is in the right direction. More so, when he has been a member of the Finance Committee for a very long time and been a part of the NDC campaign. Mr. Speaker, if you take a lot of the pronouncements and the campaign promises made by the NDC, naturally finance was a major part of it. It is therefore unfortunate when nominees like my friend Ato and others are asked direct questions on the promises. They tend to tell you that wait for them to show us their next budget. They tell us, wait, let's go to the ministry before we get the full view of the data. So the question I ask myself is that not downgrading our politics? That kind of attitude, is that not downgrading our politics? I believe that it's time that we politicians start making promises that we are sure about the data and how effectively we are going to implement it for the benefit of Ghanaians. Mr. Speaker, another area Honorable Atuforson had made some suggestions which I believe are good and we need to encourage is the use of the taxes or some part of the taxes paid by the informal sector being used as pensions for themselves. I believe that is one area he has mentioned, and I implore him that as he gets the nod, you make sure that the implementation of these ideas are effected immediately so that we can formalize the informal sector. Mr. Speaker, the other area he had also mentioned had to do with the issue of value for money, the issues of investor confidence, issues of employment and entrepreneurship in particular. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of value for money, I believe that is one area we need to quickly look at in a very big way, especially the processes at the Ministry of Finance. In situations where loans are approved in Parliament, and sometimes it takes over 1 year before projects are implemented, goes a long way to affect the real value we deliver or get out of these projects. Mr. Speaker, we've had challenges in this country where we continue to do roads projects that are too expensive and the value we get out of it over a period of time diminishes, are some of the issues I believe that they should also be looking at. On entrepreneurship, Mr. Speaker, one of the biggest challenges we have in this country is the concept of all young people believing and thinking that after school, government will employ them. Mr. Speaker, that is one major difficulty that we've had as politicians. And I believe that investment in the area of private sector, small businesses, medium-scale businesses that Ghanaians can manage for the long term should be one area that government should be investing a lot of public funds starting from now to make sure that we can expand that area, use that to generate employment, also use that to generate taxes for the country. On the issue of the nominee for Attorney General, Mr. Speaker, I've worked with Dr. Ayini on the subsidiary committee for the last 4 years, and he has shown to be a moderate. He has shown to believe in consensus, and he has always stood his grounds and admitted his mistake. And I believe that he's one person that, quite frankly, we are all happy he's gotten this nomination. I believe that the House would also support and make sure that he becomes the next Attorney General to be able to do the work for Ghana. Last but not least, I'll talk about John Jinapo, JJ. I had worked with him on the transition at Energy Ministry, and I believe that since he has a lot of information and he has worked in that sector, all we are praying is that do not come back. All we are praying is that the fuel will flow as that happened in the last 7 years.
Thank you.
And with these few words, Mr. Speaker,
thank you very much.
I support this nomination to go to Saika Stadway. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let's now turn to Honorable Xavier Sosu.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to the motion ably moved for the approval of the 3 nominees of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Mr. Speaker, Dr. Atto-Forson has shown extreme leadership in this House and shown in-depth knowledge in finance and national economy, which I believe makes his nomination one of the finest and one of the best. Mr. Speaker, it is often said that true leadership is revealed by adversity. Mr. Speaker, you would bear testimony to the fact that Dr. Atto-Forson was one of the people who was politically targeted. And throughout last year, 2 years ago, he had to endure all manner of attack on his personality. He had to endure going to court while serving as a very, very firm voice of the opposition on the Finance Committee. And Mr. Speaker,
Honorable Member for Medina, hold on.
Very well, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I must sound a caution. My friend said that Honorable Atto-Forson was politically targeted. And I think this is not fair, and this is below the belt. To say that he was politically targeted, I think this must be expunged from the records. And because if he's asked to justify why he was politically or the circumstances of political target, I'm not sure the honorable member will be able to justify this. I'm grateful.
Thank you so much. Honorable Xavier, once you are also an officer of the court, I think you do as the honors and withdraw that.
Mr. Speaker, I respectfully withdraw that statement.
Thank you very much.
Restate that, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Dr. Atto-Forson was one of the members of Parliament last year that underwent all kinds of struggles, let me put it that way, in the face of delivering his work before this very House. But Mr. Speaker, you will agree with me that he distinguished himself. He was firm, he was principled, he stood his grounds to defend his position when it comes to matters of the economy. You recall how he led our side to fight fiercely against the e-levy. And Mr. Speaker, what is good about Dr. Atto-Forson is the fact that even now at the vetting committee, he stood his position to say that definitely the NDC government is going to honor its promise by scrapping off the e-levy and other taxes that he's always stood by. Mr. Speaker, Atto-Forson represents some inspiration to young people because he's in his 40s and yet he's already distinguished himself, rising through the ranks to the highest pinnacle of becoming a finance minister. And Mr. Speaker, that is an inspiration to all of us, and I believe that he is definitely going to carry the people of Ghana through and honor all the promises that the NDC has made in its manifesto, particularly when it comes to youth employment. Mr. Speaker, our brother and friend John Jinakbo has also distinguished himself as a member of Parliament and also shown very excellent knowledge when it comes to the energy sector, and I believe that he's also going to do very well and be an answer to the energy challenges that we were plunged into by the former administration. Mr. Speaker, finally, Dr. Ayine was my lecturer and has been an inspiration to me in various ways. And Mr. Speaker, I must say that in the last parliament, when I led some private bills like the abolition of the death penalty, Dr. Ayine played a key role in ensuring that we achieve that goal of abolishing the death penalty, criminalizing witchcraft accusation. Mr. Speaker, I would want to use this opportunity to urge Dr. Ayine that Ghana still has to sign the second optional protocol to the ICCPR and also work on removing the death penalty from the Armed Forces Act. And I hope that as he assumes this ministry, he will lead the way to make this happen. And most importantly, also work on the non-custodial sentences for petty crimes. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I wish him the best, and I wish all of them the best, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. It is now the turn of Dr. Gideon Buako. Doc, you have the floor now.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to support the motion ably moved for the ministers.
Honorable member, may you speak up a bit?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise in appreciation of the opportunity you have given me to comment on the nominees whose reports have been brought before this House. Right Honorable Speaker, the ministers we are considering today, as has been said by one of us, have all served as deputy ministers in the respective ministries that they are going. And Mr. Speaker, it's interesting that the government led by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is a government on a reset agenda, but these nominations indicate an upgrade from former deputy ministers to substantive ministers. It gives an indication that, indeed, it is good to upgrade in life as human beings. Right Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Dr. KCL Atoforsen, who has been nominated to the prestigious office of the Finance Minister, is a distinguished personality. He served as a member of Parliament. He served on the Finance Committee. He's been a Deputy Minister for Finance before. So truly, his competence and experience in the ministry he's going to is not. He served as a member of Parliament. He served on the Finance Committee. He's been a Deputy Minister for Finance before. So truly, his competence and experience in the ministry he's going to is not questionable. The Honorable Minister Designate came to the KNUST at the time I was a lecturer there at the business school for one of his programs. But Mr. Speaker, once we approve the Minister for Finance, it is important for me to note that he is going into that office to perform three main functions as any finance manager will perform. He's going to take investment decisions for the country, financing decisions for the country, and budgeting decisions. Mr. Speaker, it is important as a country, having one of us going to such ministries, to remind ourselves that we need to enter into contracts that the Ghanaian people will have value for money. Recently, His Excellency the President met the President of the African Development Bank and put before them initiatives and projects that the government wants to embark upon. Mr. Speaker, we have been on this curve before, and Ghana in the past
have procured some loans for infrastructure projects, and most of these loans have come at exorbitant prices to the Ghanaian people. Mr. Speaker, if you indulge me, I should like to remind the minister going for the finance minister that in the year 2015, the government of Ghana, through the African Development Bank, took a loan for the Terminal 3 project. That loan came with an interest of 8.5%, so high for the Ghanaian people. It took the government of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to renegotiate that interest down to 5%. Also, the initial loan agreement for the Temakosombo standard gauge railway project that was contracted by the NDC government that the Honorable Atto-Forson was the deputy minister came with an interest of 6-month LIBOR plus 1.75%. Mr. Speaker, this was so high, and it took the government of the NPP to renegotiate this down to 6-month LIBOR plus 1.5%. Then again, Mr. Speaker,
Honorable,
if you look at the Pokuasi interchange.
Honorable Member, I believe you'll get time for you to debate some of these issues.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Let's begin to wind up for me.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the point I am making is that as the minister heads to the ministry to take financing decisions for the country, we must ensure that if we are going for loans, we go for cheaper loans. If we are procuring financing, we must ensure that the financing we are procuring are not coming at exorbitant prices to the Ghanaian people. Mr. Speaker, in winding up, I want to comment briefly on the Honorable Minister for Energy, John Jinapo. Mr. Speaker.
I give you 1 minute, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, something that is of utmost interest to the Ghanaian people today is electricity tariffs. I wish to remind the minister that Ghanaian people will be very appreciative if he's able to work to reduce prices or the tariffs of electricity. And Mr. Speaker, just to support what I'm saying with this data, Ghanaians have gone through a lot. In 2009, there was no increase in electricity tariffs.
Honorable Member.
Mr. Speaker, in 2010, Ghanaians paid 10%. In 2011, 8.9%. In 2012, 7.4%. In 2013, 58%. In 2014, 28%. Mr. Speaker, in the heat of doomsday, we were paying 90%.
Honorable Member, thank you so much. You'll get the opportunity.
If you just oppose this.
Honorable Member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Member, you'll get the opportunity one day.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So that you can give up your. Thank you very much. Honorable members, please.
Right, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Leader, it's the first time.
I want to advise. I just want to advise my colleague. I understand that this is a very exciting time for you, and that's why we were indulging you. But please, when the Speaker asks you to wind up, please do so. It's very, very important. We work towards the Speaker, and so when he tells you to wind up, please do so.
Thank you very much. It is now the turn of Honorable Ampenyako Asujaman. Please.
Thank you.
Work around 5 minutes for me.
Mr. Speaker, I'll try to do less than 5 minutes. No. I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the announcement of the nomination of these 3 honorable members, Honorable Dr. Atto-Forson, Honorable John Jinapo, and Honorable Ayini, was greeted by Ghanaians with a lot of excitement and approval. And in fact, it tells all of us that President Mahama has started getting things right. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, there is one thing that is common about all these nominees, and it is the fact that they are all being nominated to ministries that they previously worked as deputy ministers. In fact, Dr. Atto-Forson was Deputy Minister for Finance, John Jinapor was Deputy Minister for Energy, and Dr. Ayeni was Deputy Attorney General. And this tells us something, that if you are given an opportunity and you work hard, one day you will be recognized. Oh, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Opol is harassing me. One day, you will be recognized and you will be elevated to higher heights. And so this is a lesson to everybody, that any opportunity that you get, no matter how small it is, work hard and one day you will be rewarded. Mr. Speaker, their responses showed clearly that they are ready for the work and they appreciate fully the task ahead of them. In fact, Dr. Atto-Forson stated clearly that he is going to walk the talk. President Mahama intends to walk the talk and to deliver on all the promises that he made to Ghanaians. I was so excited hearing him give assurance to the committee, through the committee to all Ghanaians, that in the next budget, Ghanaians will see the repeal of those taxes that we spoke against when we were in opposition. That e-levy will be abolished, that betting tax will be abolished, and others. Mr. Speaker, Dr. Atto-Forson made rather an ambitious promise that he aims to work hard to bring inflation down to 8% plus or minus 2. Knowing that inflation had risen to over 50% under the previous administration, it is quite refreshing to note that that is one of his targets, that will bring down inflation to a single digit. We know that inflation came down to around 20-something%. But if that is one of the targets... The leader said that he said he's going to be only about the real sector. That was not his response. He said we will focus on the real sector. In fact, we, the NDC, have stated clearly that selected public institutions with large customers like DVLA, like the Harbour, like Passport Office, will all be under the 24-hour economy, and it will help create a lot of jobs for us. Mr. Speaker, Dr. Ayeni has demonstrated to the admiration of all of us in this House that he knows the subject, he knows law, and that when he worked at the Attorney General's office, he really learned, and he's going to bring that to bear in the execution of his duty. I admire Dr. Ayeni for one thing, that he is a very principled man. In fact, he took certain positions that were unpopular to those of us in his party, but he stood by them and said that with my background and everything, this is what I believe should be done. This is the man that is going to the Attorney General's department. And so when the minority leader was appealing that he shouldn't go and persecute political opponents and all that, I can assure him that the man going to this office is principled and he will do his work very well. Finally, on Honorable Jinapor, he's my friend. If I don't mention him, it will be fair. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Jinapor, someone I have worked with on the Finance Committee, has also demonstrated that he is ready to help us solve the energy challenges. He said something about power purchasing agreements, and I was so happy with that response, because an erroneous impression has always been created that it was wrong for us to have take or pay clauses in power purchasing agreements. But he demonstrated that even succeeding governments after him signed about 6 agreements that also included take or pay clauses. Thank you very much. So I encourage all of us to approve these nominees. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. It is now the turn of Honorable John Darko.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity given to me to support the motion for the approval of the 3 nominees in the persons of Dr. Dominic Ayeni and Honorable Kesel Atoba Forsen and Honorable John Jinapo. In the case of Honorable John Jinapo and Dr. Ayeni, I had the opportunity to put some few questions to them during the vetting, and I believe their answers to the questions are out there. I believe the jury is still out there on whether their answers were satisfactory or not. But Mr. Speaker, I did not get a chance to ask the Finance Minister nominee 1 or 2 questions that I had, and I want to bring that to the fore. Mr. Speaker, when the Finance Minister nominee, Honorable Dr. Atoba Forsen, appeared before the committee, he presented a CV which I went through. Mr. Speaker, when I went through the CV, I saw that the Honorable Finance Minister nominee has stated that he was once a director of a company called Protect Integrated Services Limited in the UK. Mr. Speaker, when I tried to search on the company, I realized that Honorable nominee's dates in which he claimed he was a director showed that he said he was a director from 2003 to 2005. The search at the UK's company registry, which is on the internet, shows that that company was actually set up in February 2005. I also realized that when you go through the company's record, Honorable Minister nominee's name wasn't there as a director, contrary to what he has stated on his CV. And then a search also showed that that company was liquidated sometime in 2009. I mean, this is going to be a Minister of Finance for the country. And I was wondering how somebody who is going to run our country will become a director, is going to run our finance ministry, was once a director of a company which has been folded up. And then the fact that the dates in which he claimed he was a director clearly shows that he wasn't a director at the time. He was a director. The company was actually set up in 2005 when he said that he was a director in 2003 to 2005. So, Mr. Speaker, if it's a mistake, we would like to have the Honorable Minister nominee to come and clarify that.
Hold on. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, the practice in the UK is that when you are going to start a business, initially you don't register it. There are few businesses that start as registered businesses. You start under a concept known as Trading Act. So you trade as a particular name and you do business until the business is well established to a point where you can now go and formally register that name as the business.
Mr. Speaker, no.
So he started trading as that name and worked for about 2 years, after which he then went and registered the company. The records are there. You don't understand the concept, you can Google it. Trading as, and you will see it, that is a very common practice that is encouraged in the UK. And so this business was conducted in the UK, and that is how it started. That is why at the point that you are talking about, it wasn't registered, but it actually was an existing business. Go and check. Just Google it on your phone. You will see that in the UK, it is a common and accepted practice. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker. Yes, Honourable
clarification.
You may conclude.
Mr. Speaker, very specific point of clarification.
And I'm not giving you the
Mr. Speaker, that's a clear misinformation to the House, Mr. Speaker, on UK company law and practice.
Mr. Speaker.
Hold on. Let me give the opportunity to the chairman of the committee.
Right, Honorable Speaker, thank you for giving me the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, it is observable from the fact that members get up without catching the eyes of the Speaker, then they will put on the microphone. Mr. Speaker, they have gone through an orientation. So this habit can no longer be entertained in this House. So once again, members should take note that by practice and convention in this House, you get up until you catch the eyes of the Speaker. You do not put on your microphone. It's not looking good. We've gone through the orientation exercise with them. So I don't want to see this reoccurring.
Thank you very much. Yes, Honorable John Darkon, you may continue.
Well, Honorable Speaker, so I was saying the company, the registered company that we know, which is the Protect Integrated Services Limited, was registered in 2005. I don't care what my learned colleague on the other side is saying, that you have to operate the company at a particular or for a particular period before it is registered. I think that it is inaccurate. What we are dealing with is a registered company, and that is what it has provided to this House and the people of Ghana, that he was a director of that company, Protect Integrated Services Limited, from 2003 to 2005. If it's a mistake, he should come to this House to come and correct it. This is the House of Record. He is going to be the Minister for Finance, and it is important that some of these things are corrected. Mr. Speaker, on that I yield.
Thank you. Thank you, Honourable Member. You take the last from the majority side, from Honourable Yusuf Suleimana.
Mr. Speaker, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to contribute to the motion that is before us this afternoon. Mr. Speaker, indeed, the three gentlemen that have been nominated and vetted are really assets to this nation. Mr. Speaker, we all know Honorable Atuforsen. We are aware of his humility, somebody who is very focused, very diligent, and very knowledgeable. And this was demonstrated when he was vetted. His responses were asked. Mr. Speaker, when he was asked on the issue of tax exemptions, he was clear that we should give tax exemptions to companies that really deserves it, and that we should be fair in giving out these tax exemptions. And that, for me, is something that we all have to take into consideration. And this is a person that needs to occupy this very important position so that he will demonstrate fairness and not be biased. Mr. Speaker, let me also touch on my own brother, my younger brother, Honorable John Abdullahi Jinapo, a young man with vision, a young man who has demonstrated competence, a young man very knowledgeable when it comes to energy and finance, a young man who is able to give us assurance that doing so will be a thing of the past.
We have just inherited Dumso, something that the John Mahama administration had worked to resolve. We inherited it from you. And this young gentleman gave us the hope that Dumso will not resurface in this country. And he has taken pragmatic steps to ensure that we don't sleep in darkness. You don't sleep in darkness. And so you should begin clapping for him. You should begin clapping for him. That the mess you have caused, this young man, a visionary leader, has given us hope. And these are the kind of people that we expect His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to put into very strategic positions like this. And so I call on you unanimously to approve these men of integrity so that the mess that we have inherited, they will be able to resolve that for us. Mr. Speaker, lastly, because I don't want to take so much time, lastly, Honorable Dominic Ayeni, when the name is mentioned, people shiver. This is a man that we all know. His credibility level is high. You can compare him to other outgone attorney general and what have you. You can compare them and you see the difference. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Dominic Ayeni, a lecturer, an experienced lawyer, but some of us seated here are even his students. I can see some of them seated there and listening. This is a man who taught you, and you know his worth. And that's the man who's now coming to lead you when it comes to issues of law and issues of courts in this country. I think you should be clapping for Mama for giving you such a respected person that even in the international front, when he speaks, it brings credibility to Ghana. And so, once again, I want to call on you.
Thank you.
To rise up and give a unanimous approval to this young man to save us from the position that we have inherited.
Thank you.
God bless you all. Mr. Speaker, I'm very grateful.
Thank you. Lastly, we will listen to Honorable Kojo Nkrumah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it appears that the NDC has a knack for three wise men. When President Mills was in power, he had his three wise men. And President Mahama appears to have started off with his three wise men, our brothers who have been nominated and who have performed creditably when they appeared before the Appointments Committee. Dr. Ayeni was Deputy Attorney General. When I was called to the bar, he actually handed me my qualified certificate of law. His track record is well known and well respected. We wish him well. He's not only going to be Attorney General, he's also going to be Minister responsible for justice. And Mr. Speaker, justice is a subject that across the country many people still look forward to. Court infrastructure, residences for magistrates and judges, the kind of budget that must go there, the availability of lawyers for legal aid to ensure that justice is done in the nooks and crannies of this country. These are things that we expect Dr. Ayeni, in addition to other functions, to pay attention to, and we wish him well. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable John Jinapo, our brother, is well versed in the subject of energy and finance. He has offered a lot of explanations about take or pay and things that have gone on in the past. Mr. Speaker, no matter the explanations you give, and I speak as a former member of cabinet, a few lessons that we can share with our colleagues. No matter the explanations that you give, what the people of Ghana are waiting for is that fuel prices don't go up, the electricity prices don't go up, the fuel is available at the pumps, that the lights don't go off. We wish our brother well, and we hope he delivers in that area. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Dr. Tuforson spoke about four things that I want to briefly comment on. One was on raising revenue. The Honorable Dr. Tuforson says that his target is to move tax to GDP ratio from 13% to about 18%. That's about 500 basis points. Mr. Speaker, 1% of GDP is about 10 billion Ghana cedis. So to move it from 13 to 18 is about 50 billion Ghana cedis. at a time when, as we have agreed across the political divide, some tax handles should be removed. E-levy, COVID, betting. E-levy and COVID alone, nothing less than 20 billion. So what he's promising us is that he's going to take away about 20 billion from the revenue handles, but still grow it by another 50. We are hoping that he will do that without introducing new taxes or renaming some of the taxes. And whatever he will do in that area, we will support him and help him. If it works well and Ghana moves to 18% of GDP, it works well for all of us. Mr. Speaker, he spoke about expenditure cuts and says that he's committed to it. On this side of the House, we had already advertised that we are looking forward to about a cut of 3% of GDP. So we'll be looking forward to the expenditure cuts that he will present in his first budget, and we'll help him to achieve it. However, Mr. Speaker, whatever cuts we do, we should ensure that quality of projects are not being sacrificed. We should expect that ongoing projects that are delivering value to Ghanaians are not sacrificed. Yesterday, the Honorable Agboja at his vetting mentioned that commitment on roads is about 100 billion. That means about 100 billion worth of road projects ongoing. These cuts, we are hoping, will not lead to a stop of the major critical road and other infrastructure projects across the country. Mr. Speaker, the third thing he spoke about, which I want to briefly comment on, is debt management. That under his administration, they will do better in debt management. At the same time, he's considering taking some more money from the IMF. That's not a grant, that's debt. What is that debt going to do? Worsen our debt situation or improve it? So, Mr. Speaker, we'll be looking forward to these things and helping our brother Ato to achieve those objectives. And finally, the respected minority leader drew attention to the fact that when the president issued the EI on the ministries, he said Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning. But when he issued the communication to the Speaker, he said Minister responsible for finance. We will urge our brother to avoid the trap of creating the impression that he is responsible for the economy. The minister responsible for fiscal policy, the minister responsible for finance, like my brother Ricketts knows, is the minister responsible for fiscal policy, not the whole economy. There are external economic developments that he doesn't have control over. There are things happening in the monetary policy space that he doesn't have control over. There are real sector economic issues in other areas that other ministers will be taking decisions and impacting the economy. He doesn't have control over that. So from our lessons, we wish them well. We will give them all the support that we can. If it works well for all of us. And with these few words, Mr. Speaker, we will support the motion that our brothers be approved to take up their position. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honourable members, at the conclusion of the debate, the question is, as many as are in favor of the motion listed Yes. Yes. The question is, as many as are in favor of the motion listed 11 in today's order paper, say aye. Aye. All those against say no. Honourable members, it is obvious the ayes have it. The motion is hereby adopted. And that this Honourable House has adopted His Excellency the President's nomination of Honourable Dr. Kasil Atoba Forsen as Minister Designate for Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning. Honourable John Abdullah Jinapo as Minister Designate for Ministry of Energy. And Honourable Dr. Dominic Akulintiga Ayini as Minister Designate for the Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice. Honourable members, on behalf of the House, I would like to extend our congratulations to our own brothers in this House, and we hope that they will make us proud. Yes. Honorable First Deputy Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. As the mover of the motion, I want to use the opportunity to thank the Appointment Committee and the entire House for adopting the report of the unanimous decision of the committee by consensus. Right Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the nominee, I sincerely thank the entire House. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Leadership? Leadership? Yes.
Honorable Speaker, we intend to go and continue the vetting of the president nominees. And I think on that note, we will ask that you suspend the House for us to allow the Appointment Committee to do that work. And then we can come back with the second report. That was the agreement.
Yes, Honorable Minority Leader. But are the reports not ready?
Speaker, I disagree with him. Respectfully, I disagree with him because we had conclave, and Speaker, two very important statements have been admitted, and it's important we allow members to read their statement. At this time, yes, it's important. They are equally important. Speaker, so you were not at conclave, and you admit that you were not there. Oh, good. So, Speaker, we should rather proceed to take item 8, after which we can decide on what next.
House Speaker, indeed, that was the agreement. I wasn't there, but it's been agreed that there will be a statement taken and then 2 statements. Yes, thank you.
Well, honorable members, let's turn to page 2. Page 2 in today's order paper. Page 2. Item listed 8, statements. The first statement is from our colleague from Suhum, Honorable Bequin Frank Asiedu.
Mr. Speaker,
yes, let's hear you. I was going to talk about the topic, but I can't see the headings well, so you can go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, I am honored to join my colleagues in congratulating you on your re-election as a Speaker for the 9th Parliament.
As
for the
second Deputy Speaker. Yes, go on.
For the 4th Republic, and do welcome you back to the Speaker's chair. Mr. Speaker, permit me to also thank the illustrious sons and daughters of Suhum constituency for electing me into this August House, and I promise to serve them in dignity and in truth. Mr. Speaker, I am fortified by Orders 93 and 67 FF and to thank you for the opportunity to highlight a matter of growing importance in global public health, namely the human metapneumovirus, HMPV, and how Ghana can strengthen its surveillance and preparedness efforts in response to this virus. HMPV is a respiratory virus known to cause symptoms often to the common cold, including a stuffy nose, cough, shortness of breath, sore throat, fever, and occasionally rash. While HMPV typically presents with mild illness, it can be more severe in young children, adults over 65 years, and individuals with weakened immune systems, which can result in mortality. It mirrors some of the symptoms we observe with COVID-19, underscoring why testing and proper diagnosis are essential. HMPV spreads primarily through respiratory droplets, via coughing, sneezing, and close physical contacts such as shaking hands, hugging, or kissing. It can also be transmitted by touching objects or surfaces contaminated by the virus, and then touching one's eyes, nose, or mouth. Recent data from the Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention up to the 29th of December 2024 indicates notable increase in common acute respiratory infections, including those caused by seasonal influenza viruses, respiratory syncytial virus, RSV, and human metapneumovirus, HMPV. This trend serves as a warning sign for countries around the world to enhance surveillance and be ready to mount a timely response. Ghana must draw on the lessons we learned during COVID-19 to protect our population. We must draw on the experience of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's administration. These included the critical role of robust surveillance systems, widespread testing, clear public health communication, and the readiness of healthcare facilities to respond to spikes in respiratory infections. The Ghana Health Service and all relevant public health authorities should work in tandem to strengthen surveillance, enhance public awareness campaigns, promote preventive measures, and maintain readiness of healthcare facilities. Mr. Speaker, I commend the Ghana Health Service for coming out on this matter. I therefore draw government's attention to this and to further advise it to give these state institutions the needed support to be able to handle the situation. Mr. Speaker, our collective experience with COVID-19 underscores the critical importance of vigilance, preparedness, and swift response. HMPV's similar symptoms to other respiratory infections means that our surveillance efforts must be comprehensive and well coordinated. By investing in robust public health infrastructure, we can safeguard our citizens, preserve their health, and sustain productivity. Mr. Speaker, it is incumbent upon us to assure the Ghanaian public that we stand ready to address any emerging threats to our nation's health with appropriate planning, clear communication, and collaboration across sectors. We can effectively manage HMPV and any future respiratory viruses as we think globally and act locally. Our people deserve a health system that is resilient, proactive, and committed to protecting the well-being of all. Thank you for your kind attention.
Honourable members, I have another statement. I want us to take that one as well. Then I will invite members to contribute. You may decide to contribute to which one you are interested in. So let me invite Honourable Member for Medina to also read his statement on Ghana's leadership in ensuring the full implementation of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. Yes, Leader.
Speaker, with respect to you, and Speaker, on any day I will defer to you, I want to humbly suggest, looking at the subject matter, the title of that statement that was read by Honourable Bequin, it's so important that, Speaker, this is not to challenge your directives, but I have a strong feeling that if we put the two together, we may not exhaust that particular subject matter enough. So I want to humbly appeal to you, because if we can separately take those statements and also entertain, because it's also for hands up, and I'm sure that whilst the contributions come out, we may even end up giving some consequential directives. So my humble suggestion.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I agree with the Minority Chief Whip.
Very well.
Because of time constraint,
Very well.
to take the
So, Honourable Sosu, hold on. Let me invite contributors to the first statement. Yes. Let me invite, today, how many ladies have spoken? No, I haven't seen any lady. So I'll give the opportunity to the two ladies who are up first before I'll give any opportunity. So let me go to Honourable Teresa. Is it Timpani? Yes, let's hear you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to all these important statements. Looking at the statement, the Honourable Member has done justice to it, but there are some few items that I want to add to the statement. As an infection that mimics pneumonia and bronchitis, Ghana Health Service should take note that when people report at a health facility, they should be able to do differential diagnosis. How do we diagnose somebody who has this virus? We can only do this by nose swabbing, taken to the laboratory, so that you are able to isolate the virus. Because it has the same symptoms with normal pneumonia and bronchitis. So Ghana Health Service has to take this virus seriously, because it's like all the viruses that is coming into this country usually come from China. Though it was discovered in 20 2001 or 2001 in Germany, it is mostly found in the Chinese part of the world. And that we should watch out so that we don't get up one morning and we have to have something like COVID-19 that we have in 2019. Because I have learned from what has just been read that a lot of people or schools are being closed down in China because of this particular virus. What virus are we talking of? The proper name for this virus is human pneumovirus. It's a virus that has to do with your lungs. So when you get it, you cough, and you also have symptoms like a normal pneumonia. It is serious in children where they have to go through mechanical ventilation so that they'll be able to breathe. It also has to do with people whose immune system are very low, whose immune system is predisposed, like people who have hepatitis B and HIV virus. And that when people have these symptoms and come to the health facilities, it is best to also diagnose or to also find out if they have any of this virus. Again, sitting in this chamber, you can see the sitting arrangement, that we are too close to each other. And I think that we should be looking at a way that there can be space in this.
Well, you're watching TV3, and it's our live coverage of the ministerial vetting in Parliament. Just gone by is the debate on the floor of Parliament, where after which the nominees, the first batch of nominees have been approved by Parliament. Dr. Ato Forson, Dr. Dominic Ayene, and Dr. John Jinapo. All three of them have been approved. The last hurdle to cross now is the swearing-in ceremony. We here at Media General are hearing could take place tomorrow. We'll bring you that as well. But let's look at the candidates that have been approved so far. The Honourable Member of Parliament, Dr. Castle Atuba Forson, Dr. John Abdullahi Jinapo for Ministry of Energy, and Dominic Akuritinga Ayene, Attorney General and Minister for Justice. I'll go over it again. Just approved by Parliament. The three gentlemen on your screen at the moment. Dr. Castle Atuba Forson, Minister for Finance. Dr. John Abdullahi Jinapo, Minister for Energy, and Dominic Akuritinga Ayene, Dr. Ayene as well, for Attorney General and Minister for Justice. I'll just go over who these people are briefly, and then we can take you back to the vetting committee. Now, the Minister for Energy, pending swearing in, Dr. Castle Atuba Forson is an economist, chartered accountant, and tax practitioner with extensive experience in public finance, macroeconomics, fiscal policy, tax policy, and business management. A five-term lawmaker, Dr. Forson holds a PhD in finance from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, a Master of Science degree in taxation and economics from the University of Oxford and the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. He also holds a Bachelor of Science in Accounting from the London South Bank University. Let's talk about the Minister for Energy, Dr. John Abdullahi Jinapo. Now, he also brings a wealth of hands-on experience, competence, and know-how to the energy portfolio. Remember, he himself was Deputy Power Minister in the previous John Mahama administration. With his extensive qualification, particularly in energy economics and finance, he is expected to bring much-needed dynamism and capabilities to transform the energy sector. Dr. Jinapor holds a Master of Arts degree in Economics, Policy Management, an MBA in Marketing, and a Master of Science in Development Finance from the University of Ghana. He also holds a Master of Science degree in Energy Economics from GIMPA and a postgrad diploma in Finance and Financial Law from the University of London. And the final nominee who has just been approved, Dr. Dominic Ayeni, who is a senior lawyer with 3 decades of experience in practice. He previously served as Deputy Attorney General and Minister for Justice and is the founding partner of Ayeni and Partners Law Offices. He holds a PhD in law from Stanford University and a Master of Law from the University of Michigan Law School and a Bachelor of Law degree from the University of Ghana. He also lectures at the University of Ghana Law School, and he did that for many years. These 3 gentlemen are only waiting for swearing in at this point because in the last few minutes of our coverage, Parliament has debated and approved them. But that's how we'll end our coverage pending the reconvening of the Appointments Committee. Remember that they sat earlier today to vet the Banda MP, the Honourable Member of Parliament, Ahmed Ibrahim. He was vetted for the Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs. That took place for 3 hours. We expect that 2 other nominees will be vetted once the committee reconvenes. Once the committee reconvenes, those 2 nominees will be vetted accordingly. We expect that in the 3rd, as you see on your screen, that process should begin. And when it does, we expect to see Minister-designate Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, Agnes Momo-Latte. We also expect to see Minister-designate Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, Elizabeth Ofosu Ajare. And as you see on your screen, those who are attending the process, the attendees are there. We're waiting for the MPs themselves to come from the chamber and move towards the committee room 1, that is, and have this process begin earnestly. Like I told you, we expect to see 2 women going forward. The Minister designates for Gender, Children and Social Protection Ministry, and the Minister designate for Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, Agnes Momo-Latte, Elizabeth Ofosu Ajare, respectively. When we get once that process begins, we will return here and bring you every second of the coverage, that vetting process of the final 2 ministers for today. Remember, it's a long list to go. In the last few hours, so we know that the president has released the 3rd batch of ministers. We will bring you those as well a little later. Don't go away. This is TV3.
Social distancing and the use of the face mask. We have 0 cholera cases in the country and 0 cholera deaths during that period. That is one benefit we stand to gain if we practice these measures. So I want